All right, everybody, good morning. Let's go ahead and get started. Leonard, good morning. Right, apologize for the few-minute delay. We had a slight technical difficulty and had to switch computers for our online presence, but we're good. So with that, let's go ahead and stand and face the flag at the rear for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Well, good morning and welcome to the November meeting of the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council. Everyone on the board should have received their full packet, and there are extra copies of the agenda at the back of the room for folks that need that. Don't forget, again, as always, the reminder to sign in. If you're a board member, make sure you see Carrie before you leave, so we can track your presence and assure we have a program. Following the Pledge of Allegiance, the first order of business is approval of the agenda, and I'm just going to propose one slight change just for a technicality, and we will, and I forgot to mention it to Tamara in the beginning, but I think we'll move the grants report up to the discussion on the grant application resolution. So item 6B, I think the whole discussion will make more sense if we talk about the grants and the grants committee and those discussions prior to bringing the grant resolution discussion forward. They'll make more sense. So again, with the one change of moving the grants report to item 6B, all else remains the same. Any questions, comments, or additions to the agenda? Okay, seeing none or hearing in the room or online, all those in favor of approving the agenda signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? All right, thank you. Approved as amended. Again, board members should have received the draft meeting minutes from the October 18th meeting. Any questions, comments, or additions to the agenda, or excuse me, to the minutes as mailed out to folks? David, can you turn your microphone on? Go ahead. Yes, I did receive that from you, and I will note in the record that we will update the spelling of John Toyaba from the tribal. We'll sit down. I'll go over it with you. Thank you, David. Any other comments or additions or corrections? All right, hearing and seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes as amended, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Okay, minutes approved as presented. All right, with that, that brings us right up to new business, and I'm looking to see if, there he is. So I asked Tom Meyer from the Office of Wildfire Preparedness and Resilience to give us an update today on where the county is at with the update to the Community Wildfire Protection Plan. And this is going to be a standing program update from Tom, or the OWOPR program, as this initiative kicks off, because the Fire Safe Councils and many other stakeholders are integral to this process. And so I want our associate councils in this council to be, on the ground floor as this rolls out and part of it. So with that, I'll turn the floor to you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. Tom Meyer with OWOPR. Yeah, as I mentioned, looking to have this year standing update the Fire Safe Council meeting going forward. Since we're pretty early on in the process, we don't have a ton of information to share, but just wanted to give a quick update on where we are. So the bidding for selecting a consultant, that period closed on November 3rd, and we're currently in the process of evaluating proposals and then working through that to select a consultant, negotiate a contract, kind of finalize the scope of work for 10 minutes or what work includes, and then get a contract in place and hopefully have that approved and ready to start the project in either January or February of 24. One of the first things that we'll do is have an initial kickoff meeting with the project team and the consultant And then discuss overall goals, objectives, the planning process, their strategy for public engagement and workshops, because we understand that that's a crucial element of developing the CWPP, kind of alluded to before, that entire grassroots effort to engage all the fire safe council, representatives of the community, et cetera. So it's a comprehensive, that's what countywide CWPP. We recently added a tab on the Whopper website, and it has general CWPP information, a copy of the existing Western Eldorado CWPP, and also a link to the Tahoe Basin CWPP, which is in process right now. And then once we do have a consultant on board, one of the things we're going to have is creating an website for the project. So the information on that, nice and a lot of the real-time updated website, which is provided in the status. And then just as a reminder, for what the CWPP project and that update includes, just as a general scope, is reviewing the existing CWPPs, including elements in process for the consultation, and other similar planning documents. So they're all consistent with each other. Conducting a hazard and risk analysis, implementing a public development strategy, and conducting public and community workshops. Developing an implementation strategy to track and measure progress. Our idea with this is to be able to create a dashboard on the OWASR website to be able to easily identify projects and measure. And then lastly, just presenting the final CWPP to various stakeholders, communities, and board of supervisors.
Well, this is a great opportunity for questions from folks to, talk to Tom about the process, sort of any other thoughts. I will tell you that the county reached out and asked, as the requests for proposals are being submitted to the county for the contractor selection, that the Fire Safe Council has a seat at the table on the review of those. So again, this is not, they've asked us to be part of that. So Tamara is participating in that, along with others from outside the county. So again, this is a process going forward that the county's working to be very inclusive in getting it done. But this is, just a different way of doing it, I think, than we did it in the past, of course, with the Fire Safe Council leading that effort. And it's not at the traditional 5-year window. It was last updated in 2019, 2020, was ultimately adopted or accepted by the Board of Supervisors, as you know, in 2022. But as we know, a lot has changed. There have been a lot of requests from individual fire safe councils and other areas to either be added to the CWPP or to maybe venture out and do their own. And so the discussion was, this is an opportunity to provide a very holistic update that covers all of the West Slope, not just those areas that were identified in the existing plan. It's also, if you look and see the trends throughout California and the West, that there's a real trend towards real-time, more dynamic plans that have storyboards that better tell the story, rather than a 450-page document, which I think this will end up there and have that. But at the end of the day, it needs to be something that can be owned by communities and fire safe councils. They can go online and it's updated in real time. So as projects are coming in, the dashboard is updated. As projects are completed, that's all articulated online. And really that's the trend going forward, and how many projects and plans are being tracked and articulated. So that's really sort of the focus of where this plan wants to take it. The emphasis, though, has to be, and we've really emphasized this, but it has to be on the grassroots stakeholder engagement from the beginning. This is not the county telling fire safe councils how this is going to be. This is communities to organize together bringing this up, but it's really an expectation of engagement by our fire districts, by fire safe councils, but more than just fire safe councils, because we have lots of the landscape out there that don't have a fire safe council. So how do we ensure we represent the issues and needs and look at hazard and risks throughout all of the West Slope? And it's coordinating again directly with, as Tom said, the Tahoe Basin plan, which is being updated as well as we speak. So the timing is great to really level set us and really bring us up to par, because so much has happened in the last several years with major fires and initiatives, et cetera.
And just to add on a couple comments to that, thank you. So one of the things that doing a larger scale CWPP like this opens up the door for future grant opportunities. What we've seen is a lot of them are looking to have projects that are identified as CWPP be the grant project. So that's why we're going to get this really community-based comprehensive CWPP set up so that we're able to pursue future grant opportunities. And then the pleasure of the Fire Safe Council, one of the things that we could explore is once a consultant is selected, and we kind of fine tune their approach, see if they're available to come give a quick presentation to the Fire Safe Council at one of the monthly meetings before they really start undertaking the project.
Alice, first, then we'll go to him.
It's much anticipated, very exciting to happening. I just have one question. As you're selecting consultants and thinking about this, I'm hoping that it won't be just fuel reduction projects, that there will also be a consultant who's not necessarily just a forester, but someone who also is familiar with education and home hardening and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we're definitely looking for a consultant that has significant experience in these types of projects and doing CWPPs. So yes, that'll be part of our evaluation.
You have a follow-up, Alice? I saw the look. I know that one.
Some of them do have the other aspects too, so that's all.
Okay, yeah, we can bring that into consideration.
Like Heather. But yes, I think we all share that same. I mean, we certainly do.
Yeah, CWP is still mapping all the, I mean, in the PowerPoint, but tremendous amount of shaded fuel breaks have been created. So are you going to capture that in the maintenance schedule that could support what's already happened up there?
Or more
in a simple word, absolutely, Heather. I mean, the whole idea behind this is comprehensive. We are trying to I think our desire is to have them leave no stone unturned. We want to take advantage of everything. We want to identify everything that's out there on the landscape, everything that's currently in the existing CWP, things that aren't in there where we know work's been done. That's why this outreach to stakeholders and others is so important, because we want to make sure we're capturing things that we haven't done in the past that we know we can put in the plan. And you said the magic word, it's maintenance. This isn't about just a new fuel break. This is about what else is out there that we need to input maintenance to get into a schedule. It is about our programs have evolved to be much more, and I think you've heard you and others we've talked about this. We are much more than just putting fuel breaks on the ground, right? We are about the defensible space. We're about education. We're about home hardening. There are so many things that are part of community wildfire protection, and vegetation treatment is just one of those. And so with the county stepping up and providing online mapping and being becoming the hub for all of this data, we will have one place where we can access all of that. And there will be some unique partnerships that will come forward that over time CAL FIRE will be able to talk about that they're piloting here in the Amarillo Dorado unit that will have direct access to help in this planning effort that will be free, but that will be really unique and groundbreaking. So this is a really good time to bring all this together and ensure we're capturing everything and thinking about things we haven't in the past. Trying to make sure whether it's on or off. But yeah, thank you both. All right, I'm looking online or making sure anybody else in the room. Questions for Tom?
See, all those seeds you planted are starting to grow.
I know, but now we have to cut them down eventually. No, but I guess I know that we're going to be we're going to be reaching out to all of you. We're going to be expecting to make this work. We have to expect a lot of participation by all of us. This is a roll up your sleeves. There's tons. We are anticipating community workshops and engagement, but it's going to go beyond that. This discussion is going to really require a lot of thinking on the ground and really engagement by everybody and thinking through to get something done at this scale. And a true CWPP also, if you look at the Healthy Forest Restoration Act, one of the requirements, it has to look at trying to establish priorities, right? And that's always hard because there's lots of priorities. Every community is a priority. But we have to be able to have a holistic look at the entire planning area and collectively come to some evaluations of, how do we set some priorities based on available funding, the highest risks, and then fit all of the work that's needed into that, and then build a plan that ultimately gets to all of that. And it's dynamic. What's really got to change here is this is not a one and done. It's really about the work plans. And every year we come back and think, what have we accomplished and what do we need to change based on fires, based on where there's available funding in certain program areas, and those can accomplish certain subsets of the plan. I mean, this is a plan that everyone's going to have to be engaged in all the time, and we're going to be making changes. It's a whole different way of looking at it, but we want to be set up so that as we go forward, we don't have to keep coming back and going to the Board of Supervisors and asking and hiring for a whole new plan. We want to be able to have a process that allows us to make adjustments collectively with a group each year and continue just to keep things happening on the ground and not miss a beat. So obviously I always want everything done yesterday. So I push Tom every day. Where are we at? And yes, we're working through, the county is paying for this. This isn't coming from a grant fund. The county budgeted money to get this done. So we're working through the county process. It's happening. And we take very seriously that it's the right contractor. And if we've had this conversation, we've made it really clear, if we don't need to settle. So if we aren't hearing what we want to hear, things like Alice and Heather and others are saying, then we can go back to the drawing board and re-advertise and make sure that we are getting the quality of vendor that we want to meet all of our needs. So we're going through this very deliberately, because if we set this up incorrectly now, we're going to have to live with it down the road. And we want to make sure we build on all of the hard work that folks have done in the first two CWPs, and we don't lose that, but then take us kind of to the next level. So go ahead, David.
Yeah, one thing that has been dynamic and sort of like, who's going to have access to that? In other words, we talk about me trying to edit something.
No, we don't. No, it's a good question. So if you and I would encourage people, if you haven't already, if you go out and look at how some of the other fire safe councils are working on theirs now, Butte County, Santa Clara, others, and we've been looking around. The contractors build the storyboard, they build the website, they build all of that, they build the process for the metrics to capture the data, and then they hand that over to whomever, right? Who's the sponsor? So in this case, we're having those discussions with the county about, okay, the county sponsored this initiative, but once the contractor's done and hands the product over, how do we ensure that it's updated? And so that's a discussion and a partnership, I think, that we need to discuss between the Fire Safe Council and the county. If it continues to be hosted at the county, how do we bridge making sure that, what's the update process? And does the county position to be able to keep the project updated, and what's the input process to get that done? Those are all things that need to happen. I think all of us, everyone out there will have, real-time access, just like anyone, to what's being presented in the data, but who actually goes in and amends and updates the storyboard and the website and the project data? I think all that's a process that will come out as part of our discussions, because it has to be supported long-term, and there has to be, again, the process for keeping it updated has to be committed to. So I think it's sort of a little more to be answered there later, David, but again, I don't want to speak for Tom, but in our discussions, it has been very clear. We think that the county, in partnership with the Fire Safe Council, has a real role to play here for the long-term commitment to supporting keeping this updated for us.
Nice to know what's happening.
It's been a long time, coming. And again, I guess what I really want to emphasize is that the work that was done to get us where we're here in the existing plan, there would be no plan at all if it weren't for so many of you in the room that worked on the first plan and then the revision. But a lot happened, particularly in the last process. COVID hit in the middle of the planning process. The kinds of workshops and outreach, things couldn't happen the way they really needed to happen. And we've had 2 major fires since the plan, or during the time the plan was accepted by the county, and that the landscape's changed and there's so much has happened. It's just time to level set and let's fill in the gaps and let's refresh this thing in a way that really moves us forward, kind of into the next kind of century with it. So.
And then just in addition to that, so since the last one was adopted, we've also had a creation of a Whopper and this different approach that the county is taking in a large scale coordination effort with fire agencies, the Fire Safe Council, public utilities, you name it. So we also mention the mapping tool. So we have that up and are using that to kind of coordinate and map projects that are already in process or planned, such as DOP or RCD projects. So it's trying to make sure all of that is encompassed in the CWPP as well. I was saying for could be set up really well for this one.
Yeah, and I think and Janet was reminding me because she was sitting at the table for some of these discussions, and that I said it, but really to emphasize the dashboard piece. So we want to be able to tell our story every day, right? And we want to be able to track our accomplishments. How many defensible space assessments are we doing as a community? Where are we progressing in fuels treatment? How are we accomplishing outreach? We want, all of these things will be, are part of the plan, but we don't want to just have the book and then we're all out working on it. We want to be able to tell the story, not only for all of us to be able to track and know, but we want tools that the public is able to understand when they truly see where we're all out there working. They can go to the website and see which communities are engaging in getting, working on defensible space assessments or things that are being targeted as priorities for funding, for grant opportunities, and why. And so a dashboard that helps track these and sort of allows us to show accomplishments. As we're writing new grants, we can refer back to, well, here's our plan and here's where we're at to date. Things that you can all use as you're preparing grants or working on projects, in your community. So again, this is probably, and Tom may have said, this is literally like a next 12 to 18 month project. Once we, hit the ground, it's going to take some time. Originally, we were, aiming for the middle of 2024, but I think in reality, this is going to go on and probably take place, to the end of 2024 and maybe a little beyond. But the timing couldn't be better. Tom talked about being consistent with what else is going on. The county is literally updating the safety element right now. They presented to the Board of Supervisors, the planning department did yesterday, in part of a workshop. And right throughout all of their new policies, procedures, et cetera, is coordination with the planning processes going on in the CWPP for both the basin and here. CAL FIRE is updating its unit fire plan right now as we speak. And that all of the information they're developing as part of that will be used to help guide us as we hear from, professionals on the ground about where they think the most valuable places that need work that they would use can be part of our plan. So we're informed by that in the beginning. And then also at the same time, and I'm sure we'll hear about it, but the sheriff's office OES is working on the local hazard mitigation plan. All these things are sort of being crosswalked right now, and we're having these conversations at the same time. So the timing is perfect to plug all of these things together. And so the county is really positioned to have all of our documents sort of saying the same thing, and just reinforce, where our priorities are. All right. Ditto. Well, I'm just going to say you're going to see a lot more of Tom over the next year. So, thank you, Tom, and really do appreciate Tom just jumping into this and rolling up his sleeves. Okay, next up is again item 6B, our grants program update. So, Tamara, I'll just turn the floor to you and then walk through everything, and then when we get to the formal piece of the resolution, we can pick that up at the right time. I don't know. Probably I'm looking at the camera.
No, I haven't.
So is it easier for them to see? I think you're fine right there. Just let me make sure the microphone's on.
So first we'll start with the report of what's happened over the last month, and then I'll go into the resolution that we're going to be voting on. So we submitted 2 proposals in by the end of October. One was to the USDA DWDG grant opportunity, and I cannot remember what DWDG stands for. Something to do with forest health and fuel reduction. We submitted a $6,600,000 grant proposal to fund 5 years of the Defensible Space Assistance Program and the Hazardous Tree Program. So if we get it, we'll be able to do 200 Defensible Space Assistance and 200 households for hazardous tree, all for low-income households. I don't know when we'll find out about that. I couldn't tell. Sometime in hopefully spring we'll know if we get that grant or not. We also applied for a $75,000 grant from the program, which that one's also for Defensible Space Assistance Program, and it would fund 40 properties, 40 low-income properties, to do defensible space, and we should hear about that in January. That would begin in February, and that would be for 12 months. Then we have upcoming the CAL FIRE grant, which I'll talk about in a minute. October was a really big report month. All the quarterly reports are due in October, so so thank you to all the fire safe counselors who reviewed and helped me get them in time. The grants committee met after the last meeting, and from what we understand right now, there are 2 projects out there circulating that I know of. One is the Highway 50 project, and the other is kind of a percolating East South County planning grant, which probably isn't going to be ready for the CAL FIRE proposal period. And the Highway 50 project is not asking for fiscal sponsorship, right? You're going to go through the PPP, but they will be asking for a letter of support. So since we don't have a meeting, another meeting, the December meeting is not, because we have a December meeting. And the CAL FIRE grant is due January 7th, so you don't have another one before then. I just wanted to put that out there that they will be asking for letter support. We'll have to do that kind of through the e-board process. Can I talk about that?
Yeah, and I think, and just to follow up, to the credit of Camino and the team out there, Chuck and Dorothy and everyone, the work that you all did over the last year and with the RCD and bringing in Caltrans, and because of that, we were really able to socialize the Fire Safe Councils project as part of Fire Adapted 50, which really elevated it in the lexicon, if you will, for the RCD and the partners. And so I think it's really set it up, I think, for success. And I have zero issue with writing a letter of support, 100% support making that happen. And we want to continue to provide that support. Again, I know it was a tough year kind of resetting some of that, but I think it really set the project up for success with the partners, because Mark Egbert and the team there is 100% behind trying to make that work and integrated into the project, which we weren't necessarily 100% there before. So I just really appreciate the work everybody's done to do that. So yes, we will have no, if the group is comfortable, the executive board can put together a letter of support like we've done in the past, and do that offline, absent outside the regular meeting.
And then, final thing, so we had originally scheduled a grant preparation workshop for today after the meeting, and I think I noticed that we canceled it because we don't actually have right now projects where people are going to be trying to Cal Fire. I did recently have a comment that people were coming out and cancel the grant. I just want to put out that it is easier to go through a grant preparation workshop and you have a project in mind, and you know that you're doing. It's kind of a learning by doing. So once there are a few more projects that are kind of percolating up and we're looking at doing, I will do a grant preparation workshop. I just think it's easier than doing generic, grant workshop where you may not even remember what we learned, by the time you get on the development. So I want to really do it at a time when it actually would be the most useful for me. And just a reminder, if you are thinking about doing a project, please talk to me, and I can start helping you work through what elements you need to have in place for that project to be viable for funding. So, and a few people have reached out to me, and I appreciate that. And I'm just going to keep reminding you, talk to me if you have a project. And then back to the resolution. Again, because we don't have a meeting in December, we're doing this resolution a little bit before we're really ready to kind of finalize what the proposal will be for to Cal Fire. But we're anticipating it will be one or more applications for maybe chipping defensible space and hazardous tree. We're just sort of working that out, whether, with Cal Fire, what is going to be the most competitive and the most viable. So the resolution is pretty open-ended. Could be for any of those three things, up to three. Well, we didn't have to put a dollar amount in that
In the resolution.
So we're just asking you to give us a bit of an open-ended support on a proposal to Cal Fire for one or more projects in the defensible space, hazardous tree chipping realm.
And I think just dovetailing on that, it goes without saying that the programs have exploded. They are literally, we are, and Janet can run through the budget, and Jessica will talk about the statistics, but we're throwing everything at these programs but the kitchen sink to keep them up and running, so we don't have to shut them down. We are going to talk today about going dark for the month of December, and Jessica will talk about that because we've got to do some level setting for several different reasons. But we are actively, backfilling with grant opportunities. We've talked about at previous meetings. We were approved for the California Fire Safe Council grant for the defensible space program to the tune of $500,000. We're just waiting for the check. They keep saying the check's in the mail. So to keep the lights on in the program, we've been, Janet's been moving the pots of money around to keep things happening. And we anticipate that they'll, once they have the money from CAL FIRE, then the council will pass that on to us. And then we will again move money back where it needs to be. But, to be safe, we're going to allow the contractors to catch up for the month of December. But the point of all of this is that the programs are hugely successful with all of the work and outreach going on with defensible space assessors and all the other work that you're doing. The E-Board felt this is really the #1 priority of the council right now is to continue to support you till you have resources to give to people that you're interacting with. And so we felt pretty strongly after we got the feedback from Tamara and the group that we needed to really try to put all of our efforts into bolstering the 3 programs and really continuing it on. So, David.
So, Tamara, low income, how are we going to verify low income? I mean, with the tax returns, with the mistake, so what do we do with low income?
So right now, what we do is we ask people to tell us what their income is on the form, and then if they state their income at the lowest level of the which is, you know, is that data that we recommend, and then we consider them. We do not for proof, now, with a funder, if we don't know with this USDA PWG grant, if they're going to require us to get proof. If they do, then we'll have to look at what happens. Yeah, with that grant, actually, we're going in with something a little different. The grant is focused on low-income communities that are identified on a map and by census. And what we're saying is we're not going to do a particular low-income community, we're doing low-income households. And when I talk to them, they've never actually done that through this grant program before. So whether that flies or not, you know, we'll find out. We're the first ones who are apparently asking to do it that way. So they don't have a mechanism right now for verifying because their verification is based on geography and census data. And so, you know, we'll see if they come back and make us. First of all, if we get the grant, that would be great. And if there is to any kind of verification, we don't know. But
Will we be open to doing the local community or the USO school in another county or?
the maps are pretty limited. So we could have done that, but it would have drastically limited our geographical area that we could provide it in. So we decided to try to do it by household versus by geography.
And this is becoming somewhat complex. So, for example, it's a lot of it has to do with the color of the money, for lack of a better description, because certain money, the air quality management district money that has come from a grant for the chipping program through the Sacramento Metro Air Quality folks, well, it's earmarked for only areas working in the non-attainment areas. Well, it's a big part of the county, but there are zip codes or portions of that aren't eligible. So we have to go through and evaluate every job and make sure it's within that. So there's caveats on that piece of the funding. And it only funds up to so much per cubic yard. And so we've got now to make sure, are we under that? We have obviously Friends of Seniors, we have veterans, we have all these programs always that are geared towards those specific folks. And so we've got to make sure we're spending those funds on jobs that support those members of the community. And now we start talking about for example, the Fire Safe Council grant, the state grant coming to the Defensible Space Program. It has a low income and a disabled person's caveat or so now we've got to go through again, every job sort of has, every funding source has its sideboards. And so tracking all of this has become quite the process, but keeping these programs running and getting the money is important to us. And so that's why to really back up what Tamara's saying, we've had to make some conscious decisions as to how to apply and which ones to apply for to try to make them as easy to implement as possible. But they all require a lot of tracking and ensuring that we're spending all the right money in the right places and reporting it correctly.
Anyone else want to volunteer to be treasurer? No.
Come on, can you at least pause a minute?
Well, when I get to the chair's report, I do want to talk a little bit about that, and I'm glad you brought it up, but I'll wait till we get to the chair's report about other things that we're discussing and I want to bring back to the group, but yeah, that's exactly right, Taylor. So Alice, go ahead.
No, on the old program, there was some talk about perhaps the living. Is there a talk about the higher building that
Say that again, I couldn't.
I thought that with the current low income, there's some projects, and I thought that this level of perhaps too low.
Yeah, that's
So
what
we're missing people who want to use the services.
we do. And matter of fact, we again had this discussion this week about how we do that. I'll let Jennifer tell you.
So, this was brought up because I know as, years go on, inflation happens, but we base our reporting off of the housing department, the state regulations for their low income threshold. It's based off of whatever the state determines per zip code is appropriate. And so if anybody wants to know, they can access that on the website. And we did actually update that on our website to let individuals know where we're getting our guidelines from.
Yeah, this is obviously, this is an area where we just tread carefully because we depend a lot on self-certification. This is really an honor system program, and to get beyond that, we're really going to have, it just becomes a very bureaucratic, cumbersome process. And so I think we monitor it. And I think obviously if something were to change down the road, we would want to circle back. And then secondarily, yes, identifying a threshold is a slippery slope. And so for us, if we just fall back to the housing and urban development. That way it's always coming to a standard that's provided by agencies that we can refer to. And that way it's a credible, whether people like that limit or not, at the end of the day, it's what's been identified in the system. And that's, the safest place for us to be. Janet has a comment or question.
Just a reminder for you when you're talking to folks about the program and these self-certification thresholds. All of these projects that are grant funded are subject to post audit, meaning any grantor could come in and randomly select a sample of projects, go back to the application and go back to the person who had the work done, and they could ask for information to certify that whether they actually met the threshold or not. So when you're talking with folks, it's important that, yes, it's a self-certification program, but all of these projects are subject to federal audit, state audit, and audit by our own auditors. So we open up our books to anybody when we do our audits, and they could ask for a sample of that material. So just keep that in mind.
Okay, we're getting a little bit divergent from the grants discussion. I see your hands up, David. Is it related to the grant, or do you want to? Okay. All right, I'll take your judgment. Otherwise, we can talk about it during the budget part. Go ahead.
Did you self-certify that?
It's going to be a long day. All right, go ahead, David.
The post audit and the grant, that just raised a concern. So then the self-certifying low income person, then they audit and they figure out you actually made 76,000, not 75 or whatever. Do we have to kick the money back to the state because that person didn't?
I think we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, Dave, and we'll work with the auditors in the state and address it. And I'm glad that Janet points it out, but it's not something. Yes, we're always aware of that, and if that becomes an issue, we will engage with the grantor and determine the best course of approach going forward. Okay, so with that, I want to circle back. Tamara, anything else relative to the resolution or the grants information? So presented before that group, and this will be a roll call vote. So Carrie will run through that to each of the board members present, either in the room or online. But the vote is, and you all saw it, I provided it to all the board members within the last day or so, the draft resolution. And again, it was using, as Tamara said, the format provided by CAL FIRE for meeting the qualification of the grant. As she said, there was no dollar amount that we were required to put there. What we tried to do is give you we feel that none of our individual grants are going to be more than a $3 million individual proposal based on the discussions with CAL FIRE. It's just evolving today, the discussions with CAL FIRE as to how best to handle the three programs that we're trying to sort of meld into one request. And so I guess I would put out to the group that there is the potential that if we end up applying with multiple applications to cover these programs, there's a potential collectively that amount could exceed 3 million. But I'm looking at Tamara. She doesn't think so. And again, our target was to try to recognize how much we could get accomplished, within the granting period for the three programs. And so we didn't want to bite off more than we could chew. But at the same time, we want to, have a robust funding source. So with that, any other comments or questions relative to the resolution, or in general, what we're considering in terms of our philosophy or strategy this year in applying for grants? Alice.
So you talk about, how this is, for many years. If a home burning grant did show up next year or the other 2 years, would you still have the capacity to take on that, or would this max it out?
Yes, we would still have the capacity. I think what we're trying to do is ensure we've got good, solid funding for the three programs to carry us in, to the next 3 or more years. Yes, we obviously don't want that to preclude the ability to continue looking at other grant opportunities in the future years. And I see we've got microphones being raised. Go ahead, Tamara.
Project management money, so in the grant is money to pay for the staff. Yeah, and the fuel reduction is different because, right now we only have one agency that we do really easy our projects with, and we don't control it. But in this case, we can pay somebody, Jessica, more hours, or if her hours should have out, we can hire somebody else to take it on too. So I think we have more wiggle room around.
I'll take it.
And this is an evolution, because if we recall the discussions a year ago when we hired Jessica, it was going to be more into some of the grants administration and more of that. And what's happened is our three programs, particularly defensible space and chipping, have really accelerated. And so it's really almost 100% of Jessica's time is managing that program. And so we've been evolving and having it set up that way. That's why we've made the decision this year to replace Pat with a part-time paid consultant contract with Tamara to really engage in the administration of the grants themselves and help with coordinate the quarterly reporting and engage with the councils on administering and bringing in new grants. And so that's paying off, exponentially. I'm just going to address it right now because I think this is an important piece before we take this to the vote. What I was going to bring up later is this discussion about where the weak link still, it came out wrong. Where the weak link still is Janet. So our treasurer is the weak link.
It'll be all right. It'll be okay.
Are you joking?
That Janet is not the weak link, but the physician is. The volume of checks, the volume of payments is directly related to how many contractors we're paying every month for the increased workload. That has gone up exponentially every month. When you're paying, $50,000 a month for defensible space, and then shipping equally, these are all under the grants. That's to multiple contractors, which means multiple checks, and all of that all requires reporting. So at the end of the day, where now the challenge for us is it's not in administering the program, but it's our discussions with Janet eBoard is she's spending 40 hours a month processing checks and payments and getting it through the grants. And so we've highlighted this at previous meetings, but some of the discussions that we're looking at eBoard that we will bring back to the full board is we need a bookkeeping function that can help us with our day-to-day invoicing and all of that the treasurer then and the board will continue to oversee. So we're going to bring forward some options for the board, but we met with our accounting firm yesterday. They don't have that capacity. we're talking about, is that something that can be built in, another, temporary help position, going to the search pros, temp help? Do we do a separate, arrangement with a separate bookkeeping firm? Those are all things we want to think about as we build a duty statement and then bring it back to the group. But our workload is going to continue in this area. And so as we move forward, that's something we're going to bring back. And it's important to bring up because the more we're successful in these, and we want to be, and we should be, it's only going to generate more administrative work for us to keep up with. And we're growing. We're kind of at some crossroads on certain things, and we want to make sure we go into it eyes wide open, but we don't want to undersell ourselves in getting the support we need. So anyway, with that, we have a resolution on the table for vote to enter into, to pretty much give license to Tamara and the executive board and the grants committee to apply for a CAL FIRE CCI grant in support of our 3 key programs. And again, with the idea of keeping that within a $3 million window. And with that, I'm going to ask Carrie, I'm thinking about the next thing, to do a roll call vote with each of the board members. Again, the motion on the table is to approve the resolution as presented. Yeah, that's fine. Just everybody knows who they are. You're good. Have to say it loud.
Angel Ball. Janet Berenson.
Yes.
Gary Bowl.
Yes.
Is Eric online?
I don't. Oh, Eric's right there. Yep, sorry, I knew I saw it.
You said aye? Yes. Okay. Alice Cantilo. Michael Conley.
I don't see Michael.
Hugh Council.
Yes.
Dorothy Fine. Sherry Hop.
Don't see Sherry today.
Yes.
Oh, there you are. I didn't see you.
Yes.
I don't see Paul Gilchrist.
Bob Hess.
Nope, Bob said couldn't make it. Yeah.
Tamara Johnston.
Yes.
Ernie Laurie.
Yes.
Chris Payne, is he on?
I do not see Chris.
Paul Penn.
Yep.
Ken Pimlott.
Yes.
Karen Pullen. Steve Willis.
Yes.
Is Julie Wynea online?
I saw her earlier. I don't see Julie now.
David Zielinski.
Yeah.
He's so energetic.
That's everybody.
We've got, oh, okay, side around the board. All right. So we have the resolution needs to pass with a majority, and I think we have
Yeah,
that.
we do have a majority. to
Okay.
pass.
So the resolution passes with a majority as presented. We will move forward with finalizing and signing the resolution. And I will commit that if anything outside of the parameters we've discussed, we will come up with an opportunity if it means putting folks back online for a quick discussion. But I don't anticipate that. But we obviously want to get it right. And if something happens, we will get back to everybody. But thank you for that, and appreciate the work Tamara and the group has been doing to work on that. All right, item number 7 is old business, and it relates to the Veterans Day breakfast that the Fire Safe Council hosted this Saturday. And I'm going to turn it over to Hugh and Karen and folks to talk about, because I'm pretty proud of the work that this group did and from everything I'm seeing and hearing. So take it away.
Let's let Karen start since she did most of the work.
You're good.
So, there's a couple things that I want to say right off the bat. I hope that we made the veterans proud. I think we made El Dorado County Fire Safe Council. I hope we made them proud as well. But it turned out to be a very thoughtful and respectful gathering, I believe. So a couple things a couple goals that we had set was obviously to reach out to the veteran community, and that we succeeded. And we had a goal of serving 200 people. We had 157 pre-ticketed And then with the walk-ins, we far exceeded our 200. Um, we had 25 volunteers from various fire safe councils. So we were well staffed. And this was one of the greatest things that we came up with, a little lanyard, is that what they're called? With our names on them and El Dorado County Fire Safe Council, so that people knew they could come to us and ask questions. So that was very nice. I think we exceeded our goals. We were given gift bags to the veterans, and they included some patches, challenge points, various veteran pins and flag pins. We also had a postcard made up in all of them, thanking them for their service, also with El Dorado County Fire Safe Council's logo on the back. And we had a little program made up that talked about the Veterans Program and thanked our sponsors and all that good stuff. The other thing that I wanted to kind of give a shout out to is Diamond Springs Fire Department. They did the flag raising. Of course, we got to use the wonderful hall here for the service. The U.S. Forest Service, I reached out and they brought a truck, but not only did they bring a truck, they brought four of their U.S. Forest people that served and helped, and it was a nice face to have on top of that as well. We had a lot of great donors. One of them was Starbucks, who donated a huge coffee thing, full of coffee. And within an hour, we ran out of coffee, and we were like, oh no, what do we do now? And so we were looking at different options. And then Shannon from Diamond Springs says, well, I know the owners of Cafe Santora. And she went and talked to them. And the next thing we know, we have another canister of coffee coming in. So it was really a collaborative effort from a lot of different people, and a good showing of all of our fire safe councils that came. And of course, Paul is now known as our master omelet maker.
Let's all that.
We threw him on the line too.
How do you like your eggs?
And the Forest Service guys got onto the buffet line, so it was. I would rather hear from, we also sent out a survey to our volunteers that asked, what we could have done better, how they felt it went. So those are things that we can gauge on in the future. I'll leave these up here for anyone who wants to look at them that wasn't able to come. And I think, I'd rather hear from other people that attended, but I think it was good. So thank you for everybody for all your help.
Yeah, first of all, thank you, Karen. Well, we'll talk more about that another time, but I'm telling you, I hadn't been involved. I've been involved in events like this, not Fire Safe Council events. And when these people got together, because I was here Friday and Saturday, I went home, I went to sleep. It wore me out.
That was like 6 o'clock.
Well, yeah, that was 10 o'clock in the morning. No. But no, these people came in, they knew what to do. It was set up. Karen's there going, you go over here, you do this, you do that over there. Anybody that was here to help, you all know. I know Elizabeth was here, Alice was here, Tamara was here the first day. Yeah, everybody worked. But to get back to what Karen's talking about, to hear from people who were here, we invited Leonard to come back. You all remember Leonard? We asked him, he was here for that whole thing. And so I asked him if he would come back and just sort of give us his view from his perspective of what he thought and what he saw. And I know he talked with a lot of veterans that were here. So if Leonard, if you would do that, we'd appreciate it.
I was Sergeant Major in the Army. I'm the commander of the USW representing those. Fire Safety Council, first off, and foremost, because this has never happened, this is no story. Okay, most of the franchise have offered breakfast and lunch, but no entity within the county has ever done. So I think you get a round of applause here. I don't know how you go about it. You know, I know that, I mean, some entities in Sacramento County even donate, you know, so it's, I know they all want to give something to veterans, and even myself, I mean, I did 42 years of federal service, and then California has a state military reserve, and I did 10 years in the state military reserve, which is all volunteers. When I looked at fires, between fires in 12 and 14, I, with Cal Fire. And, you know, firefighters and military, pretty much the same, you know, because folks are running out when we're going in. So once again, I want to thank you for leaning forward, thoughtful, and taking, you know, the bit and making this work. And I mean, it was professional. If there was any glitches, I didn't see them. You know, the hiccup that I had was that I'd like to see us try to, you know, capture, you know, the names and the emails and those things. Because I put on in September 29th and 30th, I did a stand down at the Veterans Building on Plattsville Drive. And I had those guys sign in. And, you know, some are homeless, but nevertheless, I wanted to reach out and try to let them know that if there's something futuristically that we're going to do, that they would be at least involved in it and notified to whatever extent that could be. I've been in El Dorado County over 30 years now. I moved up here from Presidio, San Francisco in 90 and raised my sons here. Looked at the jail. Wyckoff, he and I were on a cell extraction team, and then I went back on active duty and finished out my 40-plus year career. It's important that we do everything that we can to show the veterans our appreciation. I mean, I'm about to stand up my own nonprofit. I'm trying to. I have guilt. You know, that there's so many suicides, and I want to do one that a nonprofit that brings in the family entity. So that, and this is one of those things that did that. This brought in, I mean, I saw little faces that were eating waffles and pancakes. Yeah, I think she said pancakes, but doing my part. On Tuesday, this past Tuesday, I did an award presentation ceremony for 4 prior service deputies there, and then for Union Mine, I did there were 3 students that got scholarships through 251 for the Voice of Democracy. And when they're doing good, I want to praise that. You know, I want to reward good behavior. And then on Thursday, I went to Camino Elementary School. And we did a flag folding and read the folding, what each fold meant. And then along with that, we did taps. I still get kind of, but I found out one thing, that I'm not smarter than a 5th grader. The first question was, and in the Q&A was, what's the most powerful weapon? That was my answer. With the independent thinker. Okay, I can get more guns, I can get more planes, I can get more tanks, and get more guns. So once again, I really, truly, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate what you've done here. And hopefully we can do this again and have the same success or even more. Thank you.
Thank you, Leonard.
Thank you, Leonard. Just from my perspective, I'm a veteran, I was here. I have several friends who were veterans that were here that actually came and had breakfast. And I've had a couple of them call me multiple times. They called me after, said, can't tell you, we really had a great time, really appreciate it. And I'll be darned if they didn't wait, it wasn't too much longer, they called me again and said, we've been thinking about that. And I need to tell you again how much we appreciate it. So that's the kind of stuff it was. One of the things I noticed that veterans would get together, people that didn't know each other, but they would, when you look at a table, you see a table, there's all Marines at that table, all Marines. They're all sitting there telling stories. No, the Army guys over here. But like Leonard said, the other thing that was really great and that I saw were families. There were veterans with their family and their grandkids and their kids in here. So it was really good. It was really good. I wasn't exactly what it was a whole lot more than I expected, frankly. So I really think that if we can do it again, we can. I think it's something we need to think about hard.
How long did this event go on? It sounds like it's a very long event.
We started serving, we were supposed to start serving at 8:00, but we had people coming in here at 7:15 and we said, we're not ready. And they'd go outside and then about 10 to 8, they'd come back in. So we started serving early and we wanted to wrap up by 10:30 so that people here could leave here and go over to the event at the county, which many did. And I'm really glad for that. The other thing that we did do, and there is a video out there now on YouTube that you'll see, Johnny Brother was here and took a bunch of videos and they put a video together a little bit. But one of the things was done, and I don't remember, Sharon, you might remember, there's a group here locally that does quilts and they present them to different veterans. They vote or people send their names in. And so they presented 3 quilts to 3 veterans here at that. And it was really a nice thing, nice way really to end it and wrap it up. It worked really well.
Well, Good.
Thanks for reminding me about the quilts of valor. It was a really nice, it was a nice touch. And also the, one thing that I was struck by was how many people came up and took pictures of the missing man table and asked questions about that. And that was pretty powerful. The whole thing I thought was just coming from a military family. I appreciated it as well. So.
Yeah.
well, I think,
Sure.
and I think we could probably talk all day. I kind of want to move us forward, but because this is a huge, I think our veterans mean more to us than anyone in your service, and the volunteers that did all of this made this happen. And I think we're going to talk about this going forward because I think you've created something, and our partnership with the veterans in our programs has been just unstoppable. And we just want to continue and grow that partnership. And I just think you all deserve a round of applause and thank you. And I think just remember, go Army, because nobody played Navy when they were kids. So. All right, so with that item 8A, I don't have anything additional for the chair's report. I've covered the things I was going to. So Hugh, vice chair report, anything new?
Oh yeah, unfortunately. I continue to attend the meetings, the regular meetings, and do all that. We're not going to go into that. But in addition to the regular meetings this last week on Monday, we did have our first meeting of our educational training committee that we have established here now within the Fire Safe Council. And in that meeting, well, we talked about a whole bunch of different issues, but one of the things we did, we set some dates for a potential abbreviated workshop that we want to do for insurance people and realtors to give them some idea of really kind of what's going on out there and what we're doing when we do our assessment. And we set some dates. We set some dates in January and February. It'll be an abbreviated class for them, probably at the very longest. The very longest would be 9 in the morning till 4, and I doubt it'll be that long. I've contacted them. I'm waiting to hear back from them about how long and how many people. And so we have that one. And then also we've set 2 potential dates for another training for assessors, a 2-day class and do again. And the dates, you might want to write these down. The dates that we have set will be March 15th and 16th. That's a Friday and a Saturday. Or March 27th and 28th. That's a Wednesday or Thursday. So you start talking it up among your folks within your fire safe councils, what they're available, whatever day most people are available, whichever one of those, that's a day we'll pick. The dates that we'll be putting the class on. It'll be here just like before, same thing. Also, you will notify you, after the first year, we'll be sending some stuff out as a reminder to do that, but I want to get you started on that. We also discussed the possibility of short class topics like the one Alice did a couple months ago and different things. So if you have ideas for that, you can contact people that are on the committee. And it can either be Alice, Elizabeth, Paul Penn, myself, Dorothy Fine, or Terry Klein. If you have ideas for classes that you want, please let them know. We have set a date, I think it's December 5th, if I'm not mistaken. I think, or December 5th. We're gonna have another meeting to roll those up and start putting together a list of classes that we'll want to conduct here on a quarterly basis following this meeting. They'll be short, like the one Alice did, but we'll have a whole list. So you can look at them, you'll know ahead of time what's coming up, and we'll have that ready. So, and also, if you're interested, if any of you, I know I gave you an opportunity before and then I kind of shut it off, but if any of you would like to be, if you have experience doing training and those kinds of things, you'd like to be part of this group, let me know. I'll get you on the list. Right now, it's all the names I gave you in addition to Ron Phillips, Jeff Hogue, and Lucas Shepard from the county that are on there, and also Kit Bierkamp is on there. So anyway, so that's in December 5th that we'll meet again. Also in February, either February 20th or 27th, one of those 2 days, I think, unless CAL FIRE changes their mind. We want to do a defensible space field maps training class here. And what that means is currently I'm running field maps as I do my assessments and working with Sacramento to get the bugs out of it. They've written it's an assessment thing. Once we get that up and running and get that smooth, those of you that are doing assessments can do that on your iPad or on your phone through the new program that CAL FIRE has put together for that. The only downside to that I see at this point is there's not a lot of home hardening stuff in that. So while you would use that, and I recommend you use that because that way you can just give that basic information to CAL FIRE, let them know what we're doing. But you're going to need to do a home hardening separate little form. And I really recommend the form that Glenda did. If you haven't seen that from Rancho del Sol that Glenda put together, I use that. I had my own form and I started using hers. It's very simple. And that's what I use and leave with the homeowner. And then the other part is the CAL FIRE part. So that's happening and on either February 20th or 27th. And then finally, the last thing is our assessments, the number of assessments must be the weather. We kind of dropped off in October to 24 from everybody. And I think I have 7 of them now. Janet, more. Thank you. So I have some to do in my area that I'll be picking up. But I think, again, people are seeing the weather. They're going, oh, it's rain, fire's not coming. We need to talk to the people and say, look, doesn't matter. Let's get this done now. Don't wait till fire season and then, come out and do an assessment and try to get something done. So anyway, that's the number's gone down a fair amount, but I get it. Plus we're getting along. So that's it for me.
You're positive?
I'm positive as I'm going to be at this moment.
I see Tamara has her hand up.
You mean the classes?
Yeah, the class,
Anytime between now and the 5th, and you can contact any of us.
between now and December 5th.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Hugh? A lot going on there, Hugh. Thank you.
Yeah.
Karen, Secretary's report.
At the risk of being called the weakest link.
Right, you can take the trophy from Janet. All right, might have started something bad there. All right,
Later, it's okay.
thank you, Karen. All right, so we're up to treasurer's report, Janet.
Right on time.
Having been known as the weakest link. So, if you all, had a chance to look at the treasurer's report, for this month, there's a couple of things I want to bring to your attention. We, have been doing our CAL FIRE billings and, Forest Service billings. We haven't actually done our Forest Service billings, but we have those to do. And part of those come with a fiscal sponsor fee that runs this operation, it manages all of this and pays for everything that we're doing as a council. So you will see that there was a significant deposit at the beginning, at the top of the page for this month. I added $60,000, almost $60,000 to our reserves cash. Part of that was a fiscal sponsor fee, and part of that was the identification of a duplicate payment that we made to a vendor, and I worked with them and got that duplicate payment back. Last month, David Zielinski appropriately noted that we have added a number of expenditure lines to our budget that we planned for this year that were unanticipated when we approved our adopted budget. And so the board has decided and agreed to do a interim budget correction. So in January, I will present to you a new budget proposal for the remainder of the year, which moves money around to where it's most appropriately should be identified, and will provide a budget for those items that we didn't anticipate when we first walked into this. So look forward to in our January meeting an updated budget proposal to each of you. Some of you who have some of you who had bank accounts that are under our EIN, and maybe if you have bank accounts that are under your own EIN, received a letter from Umpqua that was very it was not very clear as to what it was doing, and it talks about the pricing for services under their TME Essentials for business accounts. And we have a business account, but we are a nonprofit with them. For us, I went into the bank yesterday and asked them what this was, because it was not very clear, and a number of you have started receiving these. I got 3 of them today. I know Occam Fair Play received it, and that was the first one that I had seen. It really doesn't apply to us. It's for true business banking. She said that it was one of the things Umpqua couldn't divide out in their business banking nonprofit accounts versus their true business accounts. So if you get this letter, it talks about fees and analyzed results, but it really doesn't apply to it. If you have any questions, let me know. And if you start seeing charges on your bank account, let me know. There shouldn't be, but from what Mila at Umpqua told me, it really doesn't. I just wanted you to be aware you will receive some kind of weird letter from them that doesn't make sense. I am reaching out to Fire Safe Councils about your 22-23 profit and loss statements. Again, I thank everybody for turning them in. Our accountant is looking them over, and we've been talking about reimbursements that cross fiscal years, where the expenditures occurred in the prior fiscal year and the reimbursement was last year, and how we're going to treat those in this year's tax return and report. So I will be, there's a number of you that I'm having some follow-up questions with. Thank you for your patience and working with me on that. I am working with the Resource Conservation District on a revised invoicing system from them that will be used for our CAL FIRE reimbursements for our CAL FIRE grants. We submitted reimbursement requests to them for our grants, and they were all rejected because they're anticipating their own audit cycle and want to make sure that all of the documents are in alignment, that will be quickly approved by their grants unit and their auditors when their auditors come in. So I am working with them. So you'll see on the grant sheet that there are a number of outstanding CAL FIRE amounts, and nothing to worry about there. We're just working through the invoicing process. The we had announced previously that the next Title III contract from El Dorado County had been approved. The county has identified that there was a processing issue in the creation of that contract. So it will be delayed, in a little further into the spring. They had anticipated that we would get our next allotment of Title III money in January. It will probably be later in the spring. So we are working with that with the reserve. That, I think that's the end of my report.
No, I'm done, I'm good.
Okay. All right. Turn his microphone off. He said he's done. Oh, yeah, that's a lot. And I really have to, the weakest link piece was definitely a joke. So there's just a lot, right? And it's much appreciated.
I'm the snake that the rat's going
Yeah,
through.
right. And we're trying to give her all the help. We're trying to get her there. But any other questions for Janet on the budget, the treasurer's report, or anything else related to money? All right. So with that, we have a treasurer's report to approve. All those in favor of approving the report as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, hearing and seeing none, the treasurer's report is approved. Again, thank you, Janet, for the diligent work on that. Okay, we're up to partners reports, and I'm looking for George from BLM. I don't see him today. So that will take us to CAL FIRE, and I think, oh, there's Megan. I saw Patrick, I just didn't see you, Megan.
Oh, God.
My news today is that Board of Health grant is closing on Monday. So those are a little bit different than the wildfire prevention grant. You're all familiar with, so the Board of Health grants are administered by our staff in our staffing stakeholders. But we are also available to help evaluate the project, so we can do your listening to concepts people get through a wildfire. So you're going to do slightly larger projects in the wildfire prevention grant, more on a landscape scale. If you have ideas of that, we can talk about. Like I said, it opened on Monday, and it closed January 15th for the application period. There is up to $170 million this round, and so that's allocated $120 million for forest health projects and up to $3 million for thanks for your proposals in advance, as well as fill out that presentation. Before you apply to them, I'll take your application as possible. Do forest include improvements that will be included if it goes to impact forest resources in California and then still for the resource, but I don't have
Alice is like, hey, it's a tree. So
Aren't there oak forests?
yeah. Any questions for Megan or Patrick? Checking away. Cool. Thank you. And again, thanks for the engagement on the process this year and willingness to reach out and look at proposals. OWOP or Tom, any additional reports from?
Party company to the update. On the defensible states ordinance update, it was previously scheduled for the initial reading of board supervisors on November 14th. That was yesterday, but notice has went out in the paper. We issued a subsequent notice. It's been rescheduled to December 12th. It'll be a department matter, so I don't have a specific time on that yet. But that'll be the initial reading of the As a reminder, the draft version of that, along with the summary of changes, is available on the Watford website under the principal space tab. So please let me know if you'd like that website. Get back to you. The common emphasis areas for the principal space. In general, we've made significant progress for the three that have already been undertaken. That includes the Stewart Line area in Chelsea, Upper Apache and Myers, and Baptiste Road in Loyola. This covers January through March. We have the public workshop, just to kind of go over what that process will look like, expectations, and then answer any questions from the public. That meeting is scheduled on December 7th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Placerville City Town Hall. And then this one's a little off, but Allendale will be the fifth and final one for this year. And that public workshop is scheduled for March 5th, same time, 6 to 8 p.m. at the Pioneer Park. Firewise communities, just as a reminder, these are coordinated by Richie Galvin from our office and CAL FIRE. We do have a dedicated page on our website for Firewise communities. It includes some general information and contact information depending on which area of the county you're in. We continue to get a handful of communities inquiring about forming a Firewise community. Kind of slowing down right now, just heading into the winter season. We expect that to ramp up again. And then we have a lot of Richie has been doing a lot of outreach to existing Firewise communities because the due date for renewals and annual reporting is this Friday. So, out of the 40 new existing communities, 27 is very far expanded. But we've actively working with on trying to all the final documentation. For Firewise. The Beaver Creek project, no significant update on that one. We're still working through the process to get this package put together and released for the higher environmental consultant to provide clearance of the parcels within the project area. We anticipate that process, contract executed, and then that clearance being over the next 6 to 8 months. Probably not a lot to share on that going forward until we get that approved and get the award for phase 2 of the project, which is the exciting boots on the ground, actual construction work, exciting portion of the project. But I'll keep you updated on anything new with that one as we go forward. Just a couple more things. Insurance information. So the county or our office has taken on the role of creating a dedicated page to insurance information. As we all know, there's tons of it out there. And it's changing all the things like on my daily basis. So we created a page and are keeping that current with information as it comes in. So please take a look at that. And then fire risk reduction communities, we're working with CAL FIRE and other county departments to try and check off the boxes and reporting requirements to meet that criteria for the county to be designated, which is us for insurance for all the it's a bit expensive. We have to go back to 2013 for map reporting, to work with you on that and identifying exactly what the trees provided, and then the next steps going forward. Let's get a question.
Microphone? Yep, step to a microphone, please.
Firewise renewal. We need your map.
Sorry, one more time, you're a little quiet.
Sorry. How long does it typically take to clean the application for the renewal of Firewise and then you hear it back?
So generally speaking, the, government certificate deadline is when Cal Fire is filing all the applications for the end. So they're gonna be starting, their review at about this time, more or less. I can't speak for their average timeline because there's one gentleman that handles pretty much all of Northern California. So he handles a lot of.
Okay, so I keep getting the reminder to submit, but I submitted it earlier in November and I haven't heard anything yet. Are you saying they're not reviewing them until the deadline?
They are reviewing prior to, it's just again, they have, this deadline isn't just for El Dorado County, it's for the entirety of Northern California. So we're getting a lot of them coming in, Cal Fire rather is getting a lot of them coming in at this time, so they have to go through all of them at this point, so. You're getting a reminder from NFPA, because they don't know, hey, you haven't put it in yet, but it's made it to their desk and it's gonna be going down for review.
All right, we got a couple questions over here with Tamara and then Alice.
Do you happen to know if if meeting the criteria for the fire risk reduction community, would that be a percent off for insurance for only for residential, or will it also be for commercial? Do you know?
Good question on the, I believe it's just residential. I can confirm and get back to you.
Okay.
Alice.
Since a lot of fire safety councils are also Firewise, and I know through the Firewise program, we get different benefits, you know, insurance and stuff like that. But they have different benefits through the fire safety council, and the two together are really important for our area becoming more fire safe. So my question is, when people come to you trying to become Firewise, do you also mention to them that they could also be a fire safety council, or that program exists also?
Yeah, one of the first things I do when talking with somebody that's interested in Firewise is I've had several individuals that just wanted to discuss home assessment, just talk about defensible space. First thing I ask them is, are you part of a fire safety council? And if you're not, have you considered forming one with either your HOA, your road committee? So I've been really pushing fire safe councils on top of Firewise at the same time, because they, as you said, they kind of serve a dual benefit because you chase grants, insurance discounts, so kind of they work together. So that's definitely something I'm really sure to put out there. So don't worry, I got you.
You know what, and if folks haven't met Richard Galvin, you should. You know, Richie is officially, he's the Defensible Space Program Coordinator for the county, working in OWOPR. But of course, no job is complete unless you provide a ton of other duties as assigned. And he has graciously stepped up to coordinate with Aaron Tosti at CAL FIRE and Jason Brand in the Tahoe Basin on the Firewise program. And it's really paying off dividends, because OWOPR is sort of becoming this intake for the questions that you're asking. And Richie's able to answer the questions as you're saying, and at the same time process. We are almost done with updating all of the maps for the Fire Safe Council. We're just finalizing rescue, and we will have all of the fire safe councils to date, up to date on the map and boundaries fixed. And they'll be publishing another map to put on the website. But Richie's processing all of that stuff, working with Janet's doing some part-time work on that with him, working with county GIS. But it's all sort of painting this picture of where our fire safe councils are. We're still struggling to get the footprint of the Firewise communities on our map, but long term, it's working. I mean, it's sort of a triage that's happening, and it's a way that to get to your question, Alice, we're starting to be able to sort of bring these two together and bridge the gap, I hope. So it's been good. Yeah, sorry, question for.
I'm in my community in Greenstone, we have, I've been getting calls from people, particularly, people who are clients of farmers insurance. And they're required,
We're gonna move.
So there's a lot of people, a lot of insurance companies are asking for home market defensible space, um, certification, if you will. And the problem is all these insurance companies don't have forms that they're using. And is there any, I might be opening up Pandora's box here, but is there any way we can get with the insurance commissioner and say, can we standardize this? Can they standardize this with, insurance providers that they're gonna, renew or not renew? That there's a standardized form they're using? Because, you know, all these things are different, and I don't even know what to tell the people in my community because it's such a huge issue. About, and so I had a talk with Jeff, who's not, is Jeff in the room now? So I had to send him an email, and I sent him the forms that was being required by farmers and some of these other insurance companies. And now even Fair Plan has their own form of home hardening, which you probably know about.
That's
So
why we said.
is there gonna be any standardization of any of this in the near future of what, how people can get insured?
I can't speak to standardization, but the insurance aspect of this is, and having influence on that is kind of outside of our role. And it really just comes from the state down, but we do want to work as much as possible to get information out there and resources. I will say, we recognize that, you know, everything is changing on almost a daily basis. I think it's the insight of the insurance commissioner to really kind of step in and kind of standardize the process. The hope for us all.
Could we as a group of fire safe councils, kind of lobby that this happened to the insurance commissioners? I mean, would we have any?
So I can probably help with that. We were, the website that Tom's referring to at OWOPR has, they're trying to keep that current. The big piece of that is the insurance commissioner's Safer from Wildfires initiative. And a lot of the things that are rolling out, as Tom says, on sometimes a daily basis are part of that initiative, and they will be happening over the next year. What we as the Fire Safe Council have been in discussions with county leadership is that we would like to co-host a fire safe insurance workshop sometime early in the spring. And we had been talking about having some sort, I mean, Steve's had a wonderful one in Lake Hills. We would like to sort of broaden that out for the bigger audience sometime late winter, early spring. Discussions about potentially bringing in representatives from the insurance commissioner, bringing in executives from CAL FIRE and others, and a positive sort of discussion. But we want to be able to get to your point. We don't normally lobby, but we think there's a great opportunity to have some two-way dialogue about the challenges that we're facing, and so they can sort of hear that firsthand. But I also want us to hear from them together these different programs, because we're all hearing a lot about, well, this is what are the 5 things that I need to do that gives me a 15% discount? Well, it's not really working like that. There's a lot out there, difference between the Fair Plan and regular, insurance, and there's different initiatives, and there isn't sort of this formula. It's what different companies are offering and what they're asking you to do to get to that point. We would like to see that all laid out, and okay, if it means a fire resilient committee, CAL FIRE, can you explain to us from a program level what that means? Can you explain to us what it means for to meet the defensible space requirement? We want to hear it from the leadership together, and have sort of a format where we can provide that feedback. And so I guess what I would ask is everybody to stay tuned. You're asking the same questions that the Board of Supervisors are asking, that every person in this county is asking right now. And we don't have good solid answers. It's changing. I don't think someone could come in here today and give you sort of the playing field of how this works. And I think we've got some good opportunities to maybe host something like that and facilitate a discussion this next year to try to maybe get at some of these answers and provide some of our concerns.
Yeah, I haven't preached to the choir, but people spending thousands of dollars on home.
Yeah.
A week ago, and this person has spent thousands of dollars of their own time and other people you know, getting prepared for, so who doesn't lose insurance, but there's no guarantee that they're gonna.
Correct. And I think that those are the kinds of things that everybody needs to hear and realize that I might spend $5,000 in prepping my home, but I'm not going to get a $5,000 break on my insurance, you know, and there's just a lot of, you know, misconceptions, misunderstandings. Yeah, so I think we're going to be reaching out for some help to put this together this year. And I think we need to be thinking about what kinds of questions and answers we want to look at from a discussion like this. So Heather.
Just one quick comment on this. I've been really watching the public reaction on social media with this. And overall, I've been really surprised at how many good questions are being asked. It's really starting some excellent dialogue that people haven't thought about.
I like that. No, I think we could, and I don't want to get us off track but Heather's spot on, and I think we've got a lot more to talk about here. And I guess my point is, let's stay tuned, keep your thoughts together, and let's circle back right after the first of the year to really figure out how we want to make this program put together. So, anything else for Tom? All right, thank you both, and Richie. All right, we have Chief Cordero from the Fire Chiefs Association.
Good morning. Fire chief is actually in meeting later on today. So
Right here, correct?
right here.
Okay.
Yeah. So y'all
Otherwise, he has to buy us lunch. So.
I don't have anything to put out with the meeting later today. I'm happy to answer questions.
It's really a logistical one. Would you like us to leave the room set up like it is, or
Yeah, you can leave like this.
because we're all like driven, the chairs will all be taken down if we don't say something.
No,
So
we leave like this and then we can work.
Okay. That's okay. I know I'll see you later. Thanks, Tim. Okay, I don't see Lucas. Lucas Shepard is our representative from the Fire Prevention Officers Association. He is doing a bazillion things like everyone. So and he's well engaged, I can tell you that. So we'll circle back with Lucas next time. I'm not seeing anybody from the El Dorado National Forest, just double checking. Okay, I know that Nikki and others have talked about this is their time of year where they're burning a lot of leave, and so we'll be looking forward to seeing them after the first of the year. El Dorado Resource Conservation District, and I'm not.
Good morning. I'm
Oh,
on.
there you are. You were hiding from me, Mark. Wow, you're like everywhere. Okay.
Hey, just to be brief, the one thing I did want to say is that we did secure, we got the contracts yesterday and we authorized those yesterday for an additional 6.5 million for the community of Grizzly Flats for Caldor recovery. And so we're also going to be spreading that out into areas of Omo Ranch, Happy Valley, as well as along Mormon Immigrant Trail all on non-industrial private forest lands.
Wow. Great work. Do you have any more detail on that project area or scope?
Yeah, we basically, many landowners outside Grizzly Flats, basically within Grizzly Flats, we believe that we're going to get basically 100% of the right of entry agreements of landowners that we have received that documentation from, but we're also going to be going in to where the built environment is, where people are going to be rebuilding their homes and structures and getting those trees out, so that when they do build, those trees aren't going to be a problem for them. And then last year we developed a lot of forest management plans for 58 or so different individual landowners that we wanted to just get them a forest management plan while we could, not knowing that if we were going to get funding or not. So we got the funding. So those forest management plans are complete and they're ready to go. So we should see implementation of those in around, and I do have a map of those distribution of those parcels that I can share. But yeah, there's about another 58 landowners out there that will be treated outside of Grizzly Flats as well. Our total acreage, we're going to be getting up to treating another 2,800 acres or so under this grant, at least. And that is full site prep, clearing of all the trees and doing reforestation on every single one of those parcels. We also will have a 3-year competition control and monitoring program for all of those parcels. We partnered with the University of California and the governor's private landowner task force to make sure that we have consistent monitoring protocols that we can report back to the state on the successes of those projects and make sure those landowners are left with trees that are gonna make it, basically, you know. So yeah, I just want to say thanks to Ernie and the Grizzly Flats Fire Safe Council for helping us make all that happen.
Excellent. Thank you, Mark. Okay, next up, Eric is with us, Eric Brown from SMUD. Welcome.
Morning. A couple quick updates for SMUD. We've been working on a fuels reduction forest health project since 2019. Talked about it at multiple fire safety meetings. Essentially started in Folsom, runs all the way up to Boone Lake for 58-mile corridor. We've done quite a bit of work well beyond what typical utilities have typically done. Partnered with landowners to do shaded fuel breaks well outside the easements of our corridor. That also includes ingress and egress on roads. So that should support fire suppression in the future when we have another event. All of that information is being compiled and shared with El Dorado County, so hopefully it'll be included in part of the CWPP over time. So those GIS shape files will be shared with the county. You all have access to that. It's not a one and done activity. Kind of ties into what Heather mentioned and Ken has already mentioned. We have plans for long ongoing maintenance in those corridors or those footprints. In many cases, it includes follow-up herbicide treatments to manage incompatible or undesired vegetation. So we'll continue to kind of keep that going. Our interests are, the majority of that work is 1,500 landowners. There's 6 difficult landowners. We've already communicated, our government relations team late last year, early this year, communicated with county supervisors that they may be seeing some escalation from a couple of property owners that are not interested in work that own large plots of land. We've actually been able to negotiate 3 of those. We have 3 remaining. I was out with one of them yesterday. We'll see where things go. Hopefully we can resolve them the easy way without our attorneys and other purposes, but we will be doing the work. So some of you may end up interacting with those landowners at some point. Our interest is to reduce fuels and manage our risk. So we're going to continue with that. The work should be completed by December 31st. That would be a year in advance at about $15 million under our budget, targeted budget. Our commitment is to continue to keep up that ongoing maintenance in those footprints because it will repopulate with things that we don't want in those areas. And certainly landowners. In addition to that, SMUD is in the process of finishing up our hazard mitigation plan. 2024 through 2028 might end up tying nicely into what's going on with CWPP. That it does include all of our assets and risks in El Dorado County, in addition to Sacramento County and Solano and others. But those are some of the updates that I have at this time, unless there's any questions at the end of my report.
Heather.
You mentioned roads. Any chance you're looking to do the Four-Bay Road to get access to the transmission corridor?
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes, you are. Unless that's Mike Webb's responsibility.
And my second question is any of your work going to enhance the work that was already done by the National Conservation?
And we've actually worked directly with Mark and some of the fuel production work that they've been doing. We actually connected the dots in spots where we were coming close to one another. So we actually tied those fuel breaks in together. Our teams worked in concert out in the field to get that work accomplished. So yes, we are doing that where we can. And actually I've done some spots where probably taken some liberties beyond where I should have done, but it makes sense. I've done the same thing with SPI where we've actually taken fuels reduction work way out to a county road, well beyond what we would really need as it relates to our assets. But the bottom line is I'm focused on landscape level, watershed level improvements. We have a huge stake in that, $250 million worth of work over the next 25 years going on improvements in the Crystal Basin. If you haven't been out there, there's a lot of really great things that are going on recreation wise around Ice House as well as Union Valley. Substantial trails and access that folks haven't had, and new campgrounds and things that are being built by the company to support our FERC relicensing requirements. Other questions?
Awesome. No, that was a great report. There's a lot of good stuff going on here. Thank you, and appreciate the partnership. Yeah. And I'd like to clap for Mike Webb, but he didn't. I saw him earlier today, but he wasn't able to make the meeting. So we're gonna hold him to be the partner, and he can tell us where he's tied into you at the next meeting there, Eric. So with that, the tag team duo of Sergeant Bear and Chief Lilienthal from EDSO.
How's it going? If you don't know me, I'm Scott Bear. I work in the Office of Emergency Services. Like Tim said earlier, we are updating our local housing engagement plan. We hired a consultant, which is going to be Debbie Letsky. The good thing about them is they have experience in our county. They're currently updating our safety plan for the county. So they're already doing a lot of similar work with that plan, taking care of the work through our LSMP. Our city council will have a seat at a training meeting that we're going to have here in a couple weeks. Same with the utilities, the fire department, OWOPers, there'll be multiple people on that training team, as well as going forward of the companies. So that the public, so we're very excited about that. It should be probably done around April. That's the goal right now. So we'll see if we get it done in time. We're also working on a new program called Primer. It's going to be a pretty cool application. It was just approved by the Board of Supervisors a few weeks ago. And pretty much one of the suggestions we've had for disasters is information. Everyone wants to have one area, one location to get information from. That's exactly what it's going to be. It's going to be a web-based app, so it's going to be the same web address, never changes. So there's a disaster in the county. You can click that web page and get updated on what's happening. It will show evacuation zones, warning zones. It will show fire activity, flooding areas, traffic control points, multiple information, things like our new dashboard information going for disasters. We have onboarding on that. It's going to start here in about 2 weeks. And then hopefully we'll have it all up in place and running before the next fire season. So we're very excited about that. And then I'm going to hand everything over to our new addition to our OES.
Yeah, thank you. I talked to you last month, and just a couple other additional updates. One of our focuses we're working on is training. The better we can train as emergency responders and county employees and various staff members, and we can cooperate and coordinate with them, the better we can serve all of them. So we do have a large disaster tabletop exercise between December 14th and the sheriff's office. We're excited about that. In addition, today we have a disaster council meeting today at 1 o'clock. Purpose of the disaster council is we meet a couple times a year where we're trying to take all the various plans and make sure they cooperate and coordinate with one another. So some of the work that you all doing will fit into that model, and that's something that we'll be doing today at 1 o'clock. And I think you have representatives coming to that meeting as well. And lastly, I see great opportunity for coordinating public messaging, information outreach, using all the great work that's occurring across the economy. So that is something we're looking at and going to come up with some strategies on and see if we can set. So we share one message to the public from all the different groups, especially as it relates to disaster response to the public. And that's the end of my report.
Alex?
Just one question. Of course, there are surprising amounts in the county that don't have web service at all. And so I just wonder if there's any chance that the county is thinking about maybe helping those people. I know.
Yeah, definitely. And we can tag team on this one. There's various mechanisms for learning and warning the public. Speaking of the new topic program, I mean, the last meeting one, but there's other mechanisms in place using broadcast cable. There's reverse 911 capabilities through phone calls to cell phones. What else would you say is good for people who don't have internet service? Or besides our door, which would always be the default standard for emergency one. Yeah, we're still using the array for the inventory system. It's going to be cell phone service, internet, and landline. For the new application app, it's going to be web-based. You're going to need internet for that. There's going to be no real workaround on that. Internet is improving everywhere. And our county has dramatically improved the last few years. It's going to only get better. So I would just say with cell phone utilities, to put more power in our county to improve that service. But it will get better over time. And there's a new satellite application too for cell phone using too. If you don't have service, you have some abilities on that too. But definitely the default guaranteed notification of public will be sheriff's officers going through neighborhoods, either doing door to door or running their sirens in a high-low manner to alert morning public. So contact will occur because there are areas where that is a challenge. But it's something we're looking at when we're doing our evacuation planning and looking at different communities that have challenges with that.
Great. Well, I want to thank both of them. And it's just a step that the sheriff's OES is really stepping up the engagement. The county bringing on Chief Lilienthal under a cooperative agreement with El Dorado Hills Fire to really help bolster the emergency services aspect, in particular, coordinating, bringing more of the fire aspect of this piece. And the chief has already reached out to talk about what are more things that we can do together. And Hugh will be representing us today at the Disaster Council. I'll be here at the Fire Chiefs Association meeting. So a lot of meetings, but a lot of folks doing a lot of stuff. And so thank you both for the time. Oh yeah, please.
So every OES is different for every county. Some of them are just law enforcement based, some are just fire based, some are civilian based. Our office is going to be all three. Bringing in the fire element into it really increases our capabilities. Gives us a new way to look at multiple solutions. And also having a civilian spot, we flew it a couple weeks ago. I believe we're still taking applications for a civilian position inside of our OES. So we'll have all three of it. So hopefully it'll be like a perfect world with our OES. So thank you.
Thank you both.
We need to leave one step for on.
Yes, thank you. Well, sorry, it took us a while to get there.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. So Beth Dwyer from the Bureau of Reclamation, she had to step out, but she just wanted to remind us that the reclamation will be having Capra goats grazing this winter in the Auburn State Recreation Area along the cool shaded fuel break. And then the Wildfire Services group will be burning piles at the Auburn Lake Trails this winter. So just a couple of things she wanted us to be aware of. So with that, we will move on to, we've covered grants. So I'm gonna, Jessica's gonna give her elevator speech on the chipping, defensible space, and hazard tree programs. I will give her the microphone. Man.
Good morning, everybody. All right.
You're good. You are good to go.
Okay. We'll start with our chipping program for the month of October. We completed 49 jobs for a total of $22,150, which brings us to an annual total of $280,161 that has been spent on chipping so far. For our defensible space, we completed 48 jobs. 8 were closed. We still have 78 jobs currently in process. Totaling for the month spent on defensible space, $54,323. And for the year, $259,848. And then for hazardous tree, we currently have not spent money yet, but we have processed about 50 evaluations and 145 parcels have been accepted with 521 trees identified. We currently have 17 parcels that were officially awarded to the first contractor, so excavation will be starting this month. Our first tree should be cut down hopefully in the next week. And this Friday, we will be assigning 31 parcels to another contractor to start work there as well. So hopefully we're gonna get that moving. And I just wanted to say, so like we've mentioned, we are going black for all programs for the month of December, just temporarily pausing, accepting all applications. If you do not have an application in by December 1st, it will not get processed. Once December 1st comes around, I'm not even gonna look at it. So.
Wow, okay.
So there.
I might look at it. We're not gonna process, and it's just temporary. We will resume January 1st. And I also wanted to state that if you are applying for defensible space right now and work does not get completed until 2024, that counts as your 2024 service. The way it's based off completion date, not submission date. Just, I wanted to clear that up. And then
Bids.
the bids, oh yes, we have officially opened the bidding process for hazardous tree. Due to an influx of high demand, we obviously have a lot of trees that need to be removed, so we are going to be accepting more contractors. I put it out to a lot of contractors. I am now putting it out to you. If you know anybody, you could go on our website. It is updated on our latest news. And we are accepting RFPs right now for contractors, and they need to be submitted by November 28th. Contractors will be notified December 1st, whether or not they got in.
Ernie has a question.
Yes, I wanted to thank you, but Nate Martinez of Ultra Vista Landscaping posted for members of the Women's Fund El Dorado site tour. I think was really great. I appreciate that, and I wrote her a note thanking her as well.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Ernie. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for keeping the lights on there, Jessica. All right, 9F, governance and new council formation. Karen, you need, no, we actually have, oh, Alice, you're on, sorry, we didn't see your hand.
Let's see, a couple things. One was we did our, following the gardening, and what the gardening did, we want to do volunteers, if you did it, from the email, thank you. And I have the housing advisory council, so I think these county ones are important to reach people who maybe aren't in some of our smaller fire state councils, so thank you volunteers. We gave out a lot of good tools. Then also, I just wanted to mention, the fire flash did come out 2 weeks ago, and I know it's not long, and so I'm gonna do a little promotion here to try to get you to read it. Because it's actually designed originally for the leaders of the fire state council, like so many of you guys, and so a lot of those articles are for you. And so there's one, for example, on the mapping tool that really helps you see the ways you can use it for the fire state council. There's an insurance news that talks about the safety of wildfire and the wildfire prepared home, and how some of those things are required and how that affects, you know, as we're doing our assessments and stuff. It talks about the Whopper, great thing that they've got on insurance. It's got some advice if you have lands that are next to Bureau of Reclamation or BLM. And there's some great inspirational stories there from both Strawberry and Mosquito of some things they're doing. So I would recommend that you do that. And if you have any articles you want to submit or any topics you want, please send those. And just to remind you that some people are sending it out to their whole fire state council, and that's fine if you want to do that. You don't ever have to say where it came from. And also, if you want to take just specific articles and use them, you can do that too, and you don't have to say where they came from. Okay. The third is Elizabeth brought up a great idea about having banners throughout the county. So she and I are going to work on trying to do that maybe in next year's budget. So, we have some banners that Oak is using and Texas Hill is using, and those are available now, but maybe we'll get together and try to come up with another set that anybody can use that'll say Eldorado County Fire Safe Council. And if you're interested in working on our little team two here on that project, let me know. And if you're not, that's fine. We'll enjoy it. Thank you.
That's a banner idea, Alice. Yeah, I worked on that all day. I can-
He'll be here all day. Folks. He'll be here
Yeah.
all day.
Oh, yeah, and so I jumbled things because I, not on purpose, jumped right to governance. So that was Alice providing the outreach and education update. And I do just want to reemphasize, she's been just amazingly putting together the Fire Flash, which is, we're trying to keep the website updated with, there's a latest news little ticker. And so Carrie's been keeping those things updated. It's posted there now. And I would encourage everyone, if you've got something that, I mean, it can't be every little bitty thing, but if there are things you think are important for the greater audience to know, is that Carrie can put that in the ticker. So, and then there's backup information. So if they click on it, they'll get the full piece. So know that's there. But Alice has been doing just an amazing work on the Fire Flash newsletter. And we look at it and we think of ideas as to how to link it to other places. Like she said, use it to however you feel appropriate. And because there's a lot of good information there, and we may not be to the AI level, but Pledgeration is alive and well here, and it should be. So thank you, Alice. So I did confirm. Karen said she does not have an update, nothing new on governance and council formation. So that brings us to 10A. David, I think I'm just going to give you the full suite of A to C because just for efficiency, just run through that for us.
First, I want to talk about the RAP meeting, wildfire risk reduction, it's going to be November 20th at 1 o'clock. And so you have a policy holders puts that on, always, so that the insurance community representatives, the way that the city needs to be, the way for or just go RAP on Google and sign up for November 1st. So the insurance company, Commissioner and the United Operators work very closely together. And so that's where you can have the input you're looking for. I think. Also, the insurance commissioners representatives are very happy to come out to events. They'll be coming to Placerville for our Safe Council event March 28th. The feedback we have really good. So I think we can work with them and coordinate with them. Tonight, the lovely and adorable Mark Egbert will be presenting at Colino del Oro at 6 p.m. as part of the Amador Eldorado Forest Forum. You still there, Mark? Am I right?
That is correct.
All right. And Ernie Lori's assured me that's correct. Okay. And so I'll probably cover more detail what Mark mentioned today. So far it's a bit dark in November. There will be a meeting again by the 12/15 for the big snow fire and for choosing the education, the 12 to meet the landscape. Biomass, it seems to have taken a bit of a break. That might be why Chris isn't here. But I expect may not be until February that we're going to meet it. Joe Stout of the Forest Service gave a report to the Ag Council this morning, and there will be a lot of prescribed fire work and preparing for that. It's very hard to coordinate because everyone will have an objection because the smoke blew in their direction, but he's doing his best on that. Do you think I got it all?
I think you got it.
Yeah, RAC is almost dead in the water. We can't get the Secretary of Agriculture to sign everything's been submitted, but they won't sign the paperwork to get our nominees there, and we can't work without enough people to form. So $100,000 just sitting there because we can't get someone to sign a piece of paper.
We'll give him a call. No.
Thank you,
David, as always, thank you for staying on top of all of that, those elements and keeping us informed. All right, we are obviously, I'm cognizant of the time, but we've had a lot of good stuff to talk about today. But community council reports are important, so I just want to throw that out to our greater group. Anything for the good of the order from that you want folks to know about that are going on in your in your neighborhood, in your council areas. Everybody's like, I'm just ready for lunch. Alex, okay.
Right, I just wanted to say one quick thing is that this kind of relates back to the veterans thing. That by having the fire safety council there, it actually was a nice connection because we know some people who came for the veterans thing, they recognized us, there's, you know, they contacted them later and said, hey, you want those workbooks we gave out, we want to send more for our neighbors. And so they then, you know, let's adopt the test. So there's a nice connection between the vets and the event and the
Awesome. Thank you. That's good to hear because that was certainly the hope beyond, of course, the recognition for veterans. Anyone else? Yes. Microphone, 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 microphone.
You almost made it.
Almost, sorry.
Fort Jim Fire Safety Council map is finally up and live.
Yes, thank you. Yes, and again, I appreciate everybody's patience. We've been back and forth, Jason, all of us, to try to get these things finally adjudicated. And like I said, we're almost there with rescue. And then if you can go online and see them now at the county mapping tool. If you click on the Fire Safe Council tab, and then once we get the rescue finalized on there, we'll be producing a PDF version to put back on our Fire Safe Council website. So it'll be current. But Janet has a problem.
With regard to the mapping, we are looking on the website into giving you the ability to click on your fire safety council and have it come up separately and independently so that you can do some work based on just on your fire safety council area and get some data and stats from that. So that is something that is coming in the future.
I have a question pertaining to that.
Yeah.
Who do we contact if we want to get one of those maps printed for our meetings?
If you, and we can just take a note and work on it, but for anybody, what you can do is just email OWOPR at the wildfireready.edcgov.us. It goes right into OWOPR, and there's operators waiting to take your call. Actually, it's Richie, Tom, Janet, and a few other people, but that's the point. I think that's what we've tried to do. They try to build like a one-stop shop because we're a lot of map requests for Firewise and Fire Safe Council, a lot of stuff's overlapping, a lot of mapping requests, and something that Steve worked on for us over the last couple of years is finding ways to consolidate the requests so it doesn't overload GIS. Well, then OWOPR kind of built a model based on that really the portal in is that wildfire ready at edcgov.us.
But I got you.
But you are covered.
I got you. I got you.
Yeah, I think, and again, within reason, right? This is not like, go there but yes, if you've got bona fide work or projects and something that you need, reach out to them and ask. And if there may be a GIS workload that prohibits the time frame, or there may be a request that's just too cost prohibitive. But the idea is that GIS wants to try to provide a base level of support. And so Tom and the team are trying to figure out how to process that. So yes, go ahead and make your request and they'll work with you.
Does that mean that as a Firewise community, I can ask how many households are within
Yes.
Pollock Pines?
Yes.
OWOPR?
Yes. Yes.
I really like you guys.
Wow, let's end the meeting right now. Yes, and we've been working with the group's been working with Dorothy already for Camino. And yeah, there's the name. Let me just put this out there. Again, I know it's taken a second, but it's worth knowing. So the county cannot and will not give out landowners' names tied to parcel information, addresses, or APN. But minus names, they can and will provide addresses and or APN numbers attached to a map or however you want to do that, so that you can have an Excel spreadsheet, or you can, yes, you can say to the resident at, and then yes. So absent the names, and again, this is all to try to protect privacy where possible. Yes, that's available. Again, I would just remind everybody that Tom is building a team and they're staffing up, but and so they're getting more folks, but just understand it's not like opening the fire hose. But yes, those things are available, and I think that was the idea, was to try to make this easier for everybody to do that. Elizabeth. Microphone? Okay.
The big format maps are awesome. Do you know where we can get them laminated?
Who knows all that stuff? I don't. Oh, okay. Good. To get some pizza and get your map laminated at the same time. All right, I know we're running late. Any other questions or comments from Community Fire Safe Council? Am I missing anybody? Sorry. Greg? No. Okay. Public comment, anything that we didn't already cover specific from Fire Safe Council that folks wish to bring forward? Wow, all right, silence is the answer. I know, I don't want, if I impact the fire chiefs, I'm the one that's gonna make it for it. So, hey, awesome, great. Everyone, thank you for a very informative and engaging meeting. Remember, no meeting in December, but you're always welcome. Things come up, make sure that you email and we'll work on things for you. Next meeting is scheduled for January 17th. So great, safe holidays and enjoy. Meeting adjourned.
Happy holidays, everybody.